What's up, guys? Courtnall Skosan here, and yeah, I haven't done a video in about 2 weeks. But before I get to what I wanted to share today, because I actually wanted to just do a talking head video where I discuss a specific topic on when you're injured, but before we get there, I just wanted to give you guys an update. We are now 2.5 weeks deep, and it's so crazy how quickly things change when you get injured. You get this initial phase of about a week or 2 weeks, depending obviously on what injury it is. I had a hamstring tear, and the first week is probably the most frustrating. I usually give myself, and this is something I wanted to share as well, I usually give myself about 24 hours to kind of just take everything in and understand, okay, what is it that I'm dealing with, how am I gonna do this, how long am I out for, and then kind of put a plan in place for me to say, okay, cool, week 1 we're achieving this goal, week 2 we're achieving that goal, and kind of just put a process in place for me, because I'm a process driven person. But it's crazy how quickly it changes from not being able to tie your laces, or slide your foot into your shoe, to then being able to dribble and doing strengthening exercises and all of that. And this is just testament to the fact of how insanely the body is designed. Like, obviously your body is designed to heal. Like, when you get hurt or when you shave your skin or whatever, there's a scab that comes on there. I don't need to explain this to you guys. You will be able to understand that when you get hurt, your body finds ways to heal. But what I wanted to touch on today was more the fact that being injured is not just physical. How you rock up every day, how you approach your training, what you do for yourself to be in the right mental space is very important, because that allows you to have a positive outlook, and it just makes things so much easier for you. The way you approach your training, what you do, how you spend time on the detail, of what it is that you're doing, whether it's eating well, sleeping well, making sure that you're doing your stretches, just being positive about that. But how also the other side of it can affect you so much more, being negative, not understanding that your body is made to heal, and that this is something that will pass eventually, and it will not be as bad as you make it out to be. I'm not talking about someone that has a terminal illness. I'm talking about a muscle tear or a bone that breaks, or like stuff like that. Your body is designed to heal. Whether that means that you need an operation, it doesn't matter. Your body will heal. And if you think back, and I'm looking at 16 years of playing professional rugby, and I'm thinking back to my previous injuries. I remember when I was 26 and I did my ACL. I had 9 months left on my contract. I was stressed out of my, I can't even explain how much stress I was going through, because the only thing in my head was, Doc, how can I be out for 6 or 9 months if I only have 9 months left on my contract? Does this mean this is the end of the road? And these are the types of thoughts that comes up and pops up in your head, because it's so easy to look into the obstacle and just see the stress of, how am I gonna do this? What does this mean for me? And 6 weeks later, you're busy with strengthening, and you're almost running, and you getting back to fitness. And the thing I wanted to touch on was, the only thing that gets you there is time. And this is why I said in the beginning that I give myself about 24 hours to just kind of digest all the information, understand what it is that I'm going through. So is this an 8-week injury? Is it a 10-week injury? Is it a 6-month injury? So that I can wrap my head around what that process would look like. And then I have this theme that I work on, that I focus on all the time. And this is not just something I do when I'm injured. This is something I do each and every day when it comes to the actual sport that I play. So when it comes to rugby and high performance, it's winning the day. Now, what does this mean? For me, winning the day, it means rocking up and hitting those goals that I set out for myself for the day. So if that means that I need to do a good squat, that's the thing that I focus on. If that means I need to be able to do a full dribble and I need to have no pain, then that's what we need to do. And if that doesn't happen today, I need to be understanding of the fact that I'm not there yet, but at least I give myself the best possible opportunity to get to that point where I can achieve these goals, and I can do that, because that for me is a W. If I can go home knowing that I've given my best, I've made sure that I put myself in the best possible state to be able to achieve what it is that I'm supposed to be achieving for that specific day. And that's why it's also so important to be able to have open communication with your physios, your doctors, so that you understand exactly what it is that they expect expect, and how they expect based on their experience, and then also from your side, how you feeling, and obviously based on faith as well, because faith plays a very big part in my life, when it comes to, I can tell you many stories, which I will do in a video in the future. I can tell you many stories of when I was injured and how faith, just made things work out so different than what I actually thought it would, or what people thought it would. There's lots of testimonies that I can share, but I just wanted to touch on that, just being in a good mental space and understanding that your body is made to heal, but you got to give it time. And we sometimes look into that whole thing of how because we can't see the future, we don't know what it's going to look like. We find ourselves in a space where we're always stressing and focusing on things that we don't even know about. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We might not be here tomorrow, but what I have control of is today. How I approach my training, how I approach my recovery, how I do my stretches, how do I put myself in the best possible state to be able to be better, so that if I make it to tomorrow, if I get to tomorrow, I get to achieve, or get to that place where I need to hit my other markers for the next day. I've put myself in the best possible space for the day, and that doesn't mean you're going to have great days every single day. This morning I felt horrible because I had a horrible night's sleep. I felt horrible getting into training, but knowing in my mind that this is another day that I have an opportunity to put myself in a better state for the day after or the week after, I knew what needed to be done. And that's why I'm saying it's so important to focus on winning the day. So I had 4 hours of sleep that was out of my control. I had just a horrible night's sleep, and got to the union, or got to the HPC, did all my rehab, got my treatment, and we smashed it, and that's what it's all about. It's focusing on being in the moment, understanding that I have an opportunity to win my day. And as long as I can win my day, all the financial people out there, people that have invested, understand 20 years, and how much compound, or what compound interest and all of that kind of stuff means to you. So every day I'm compounding small little bits, that eventually gets me back onto the field, eventually gets me to back to full fitness. And this is the small things that I usually focus on for me to be able to obviously win the day and get to the next part of where I need to get to. So I just wanted to touch on that, because I feel like sometimes, and this is maybe even in life, when we're talking about life in general, this is maybe something that you can take home with you as well, is the fact that we sometimes stress too much about what's going to happen 2 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months from now. And I'm not saying don't plan. Like I said, I go to the doctors, I plan everything, I set it out, I know exactly what I need to achieve. You're going to have good days, bad days, but as long as you focus on the little things, take those little W's. Sometimes it's one little W in a day that will put you in the space that you need to be to go on, and just hit those things going into the next day. So yeah, this is not very eloquent. Like I said, I don't plan these videos. I just get these ideas and thoughts that I like to share, and then obviously share a little bit personal as well. So I hope this meant something to someone out there. I hope if you got to this part of the video and you enjoyed it, that you would please hit the like and the subscribe button, come back for more so you don't miss any of the future videos. This is what I do, just share. I just share ideas and thoughts and experiences of my life. I've played professional rugby for over 16 years, and I've learned quite a bit, and I feel like there's a lot of lessons in that. And then obviously my faith journey as well is something that I'd like to share as well with people. So if you are here and you enjoyed that, share it with someone, and I hope to see you on the next video. I hope you have a beautiful day, have a blessed week, and until I see you next time, God bless.